second to tune in here. I know it takes some time, but I am here with one of my longtime clients and friends. We actually went to school a little bit together a long time ago, but she has been CrossFitting for how long now?
3-year anniversaries this month.
Yeah, well, congratulations. And she's always been into health and fitness as long as I've known her, and sports, and so she has continued her education and is bringing that to us today. So she's going to spread the wealth of health today with us. So why don't you give us a little bit background on you? What do you do? Why are you so special to us?
I've always been obsessed with fitness and nutrition. So I studied exercise science in college. Nutrition kind of took a back seat to that. Started working in corporate fitness, doing a lot of personal training, teaching group fitness classes, loved it. But I realized that that was just one part of the whole health spectrum, that I needed more knowledge on nutrition and metabolism to fully help people, you know, on the whole physical, you know, realm of health. So I went back to school, got a second bachelor's in nutrition, master's in nutrition, and now I work full-time as a dietitian.
Great. So just maybe so these guys tuning in have a little bit better of an idea, what are the typical types of people that you work with?
So I work with the clinical population. So most of my patients come to me with chronic disease. So I see a lot of patients with diabetes, chronic kidney disease, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, or abnormal, you know, cholesterol, triglyceride, lipid values. Obviously, you know, weight is a big concern for a lot of people, but then I get to dive into a lot of digestive stuff too. So I help a lot of patients with both irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disorder or disease, deal a lot with inflammation. So people with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, you know, chronic arthritis, degenerative disc disease. You know, we're seeing how much nutrition impacts so many different systems in our body. It's almost kind of like a ripple effect. And a ripple effect can both be positive and negative, and it starts with the gut. You treat your gut healthy, then that ripple effect is going to reach all different systems in your body, including your cardiovascular system, your systemic system, your muscular joint system. It's truly amazing how both food can heal and harm your body.
Sure. Yeah. So what you're going over today is this, who is this addressed to? Is this to the general population or athletes?
Yes.
Who are we talking about
So
today?
we're just talking general health, you know, because, you know, yes, we always want to, you know, do great inside the gym, but you know, sometimes we can't bypass that first base, which is just simple nutrition. So that's what we're just going to talk about today, is how to have a healthy metabolism, you know, on a day-to-day basis, how to fuel your body properly so your body will then treat you good, so you can see, you know, yourself excelling in the gym and excelling, you know, in other day-to-day activities.
Sure, great. All right, well, I'm going to step out for a second here and let Amanda explain some things that she's got on the board for us. This is completely interactive, and when I'm behind the camera, I can see what you guys are commenting. So you're basically getting a free consult right here. So take advantage of this, and if you have questions, be sure to type them in and ask, and I'll try to relay that to Amanda so that you can get your questions answered. This could apply to anyone, and I know we've got a wide variety of people who tune into this. We have a lot of athletes, even though that's such a small percentage really of who's out there. So no matter who you are or what issue you're dealing with, I can also keep it anonymous if needed. If you guys have questions after the video too, Amanda is on Facebook and so are we, so we can definitely help you out with the questions if we don't get to them today. So Amanda, why don't you take it from here and tell us what you've got going on.
You betcha. So when I see a patient, one of the first things that they sit down is they, you know, especially when I have a motivated one, they want to know, Amanda, I want to improve my eating habits and I want to know how many calories to eat. Well, calories is not something that I actually stress, because a lot of times when we want to embark on a healthy journey, and most of the time that end point with journey is weight loss, we want to start restricting. And that's really not the first place to start with your eating habits. We want to re-nourish your metabolism, because most people, I would say over 90% of the people I see, have really bad metabolisms. So we have to start from square one and improve the type of calories that you consume rather than how many calories that you're consuming. So first we talk about metabolism. So what is your metabolism? Which is basically, in a nutshell, your body's ability to burn something. You know, basically burn your food, burn calories. So if you think about your metabolism as like this fire that glows inside of you, like any fire, a fire is only going to stay lit if you keep feeding it while it's lit. So point number one is you gotta eat. You cannot have a healthy metabolism if you are skipping meals or if you're skipping your snacks. Now, I know it's basic human principle to think that the less I eat, the less calories I have, the less I'm gonna weigh tomorrow. But it just unfortunately does not work that way. We gotta eat, revive that fire inside you, get that fire glowing bright basically. So now all that food and those nutrients that you put in your body, it's burning and using it for fuel rather than using it as a storage mechanism, which often goes into our adipose tissue if you're not eating frequently enough. So to start that fire for the day, you gotta eat breakfast. I don't care what the intermittent fasting, research says, that always makes us excited when we're told it's okay to skip breakfast. You gotta eat, and ideally you gotta eat within 90 to 120 minutes after you get up for the day, because that's your opportunity to start that fire. Now, like any fire, if you ignore it, it's gonna go out. So you've got basically 4 hours to eat again, because after each hour that you've eaten breakfast, that fire glows dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. So you've gotta put a log on it, get it glowing brightly again. Again, emphasizing the fact that you need to have a snack in between those meals. And we'll talk about what type of food is gonna properly nourish your metabolism in that fire when I get to the plate method back here. So we need to eat often, and we shouldn't be scared of calories. Because here's the thing, nature is what is going to heal your body. Chemicals is what has caused this, basically that root cause of the inflammation that we're experiencing inside our gut. And that's just transcending itself to all the different systems in the body. Here's the thing about nature, it's high in calories and it's high in fat. But what's really beautiful is what your body can do with all those calories and the fat and how it actually burns it rather than stores it. Chemicals make a label look really nice. Take diet soda, for example. You'll look at the label, it's all zeros going down. So of course that looks like a great choice, because here you get something sweet, you get something carbonated and bubbly, and you're not drinking anything, because it's 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 everything. But then look at the ingredients. All it is a chemistry exam of a combination of chemicals that a chemist built, inside a factory. So one of the other driving points that I make to my patients is your food should come from a farmer and a gardener, and less food should come from a chemist and a factory worker. It really is that basic, but more easily said than done. So I'll turn our attention to what we eat. So right now, the USDA promotes what is known as the plate method, and hopefully you can kind of see, or you've recognized this, you've seen it before. This is what replaced our old food pyramids. When I was in school, it's this ugly black pyramid, grains were at the bottom, and it worked its way smaller at the top where you had your sweets, fats, and oils. I hated the pyramid, and even as a dietitian, I hate this just as much. But I'm going to use it as a great teaching method to help us better understand what happens to your food when you chew and swallow it. Because better understanding that can sometimes prompt us to make some better choices when it comes to mealtime, snack time, eating on the run, eating out at a restaurant, and all of the above there. So we see here that the plate method was created to add variety to your diet, because they believe that the more food groups that you have with a meal, the more balanced that meal will be, which many could argue that's good or that's not so good, depending on what food you put is in those categories. So point number one that I hate about this plate method is it leaves out a really important food group, which I'm gonna add in here. What about fats? Because fats, like I said, is something that nature gave us, and fats is what's gonna help heal your metabolism. So we want to think about what are natural fats. What are the things that the earth grew for us? Well, those are going to include things like nuts, seeds, your respected nut butters that you get from those, whether you're a big peanut butter freak like myself, I eat straight out of the jar, totally admit it, but that's how I am. Almond butter, cashew butter, if you have nut allergies, sun butter, is another nice alternative. So those are some of your main plant sources. Then we have avocados, olives, as also really awesome healthy fats in the diet. Now, when it comes to cooking, we now want your oils that you cook with, that you marinate with, that you flavor your food, we want those to come from a fatty source. So that really narrows it down to the types of oils that you should cook with for health benefits. Now, I understand that some types of oils create a nice flavor profile for some of your dishes. However, the oils that are going to help heal inflammation are the ones that are going to come from olive oil, coconut oil, and real butter. I promote real butter over margarine 8 days a week, and here's the reason why. When you get margarine and butter and you look at their ingredient list, you look at butter, it's going to say one ingredient. It's going to say butter, or it's going to say sweet cream, depending on who your manufacturer is. You get the margarine. Now the margarine is going to be marketed towards health. It's going to make you believe that it's healthier because it's going to say cholesterol free. It's going to say has plant sterile stanols in it. It's going to say made with olive oil, made with yogurt. All these taglines. But when you look at the ingredients of what margarine actually is, it's just a blend of hydrogenated processed oils in a combination of 3 or 4 and a bunch of different chemicals. And the thing that I stress with my patients, well, what about the kind that's made with yogurt, olive oil? One good ingredient does not purify a whole list of bad ingredients. I wish it worked that way, but unfortunately it doesn't. So that's why I promote butter, again, going back to the basic principle of what's natural for your body versus putting in things that are more chemical man-made. So the reason why we want these oils over grain-based oils, so grain-based oils are defined as vegetable oil, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil. So that's where I'm going to completely disagree with the American Heart Association's recommendations, is because what we see is when we use those oils chronically, we see that people may lower some of their cholesterol levels, such as the LDL, which is, quote, the bad cholesterol. However, when people lower that LDL cholesterol, these types of people are also showing to see just the same risk for heart attacks, and even they might even increase your risk for cardiac events, meaning, you might die of heart disease even if you have lower LDL cholesterol. The reason why is because these plant-based oils create lots of inflammation in your body, caused by just the nature of them and an omega-6 profile that they deliver. So when we talk about different fatty acids, which ones are better for your body, omega-3 and omega-9 is what you want to nourish your soul with. So you're going to get some awesome omega-9s from your avocado, your olive oil. You're going to get some awesome omega-3s from some of your seeds, from some of your fish that you consume. And then here's the cool thing about coconut oils. It's actually a saturated fat, just like butter. But I always remind people, saturated fat from a plant is very different than saturated fat that's found in your fried foods and your Twinkies and your Hostess and your Ding Dongs and your donuts. So again, your body is going to recognize that saturated fat very differently than how it's going to recognize a chemical version of saturated fat that's found in those fun foods to eat. So fats need to be part of your daily habits. So the first thing that I go over with my patients is, what do we want to do to heal our bodies? We want to really focus on protein, vegetables, fruits, and fats. Reason being, this is what God created for you. This is what you were genetically designed to be able to digest, absorb, and metabolize. I'd love to believe it, but our bodies have no idea what to do with yellow food dye number 5, aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, all the different sodium nitrates and sulfites and preservatives that are in our food, the food dyes. Our food was not meant to be stripped down and rebuilt and recolored. Our food was meant to be grown, and then we cut, wash, prepare, cook it, and we nourish our bodies with it. So when you choose your proteins, veggies, fruits, and fats, and you use those as some of the main nourishing points in your diet, you're already ahead of the game because you're putting in natural foods. Now, it doesn't mean that all of this is natural. We do sway away from that a little bit, but again, it's going to be more dense in Mother Nature's nutrients. So we want to focus on those 4. Now, to heal the metabolism, here's where it gets a little tricky. Most of the people that I work with, and most of us out there, including myself, we have stinking sedentary jobs, meaning we sit 8-9 hours a week for our job. We sit while we're driving. We sit while we're at home because we engage in, sedentary activities such as watching TV, playing on a computer, playing on our smartphones. So here's the thing about sitting. Sitting does not burn carbs. Yes, we know how important carbohydrates are for CrossFit, but for general health guidelines, most of us don't need the amount of carbs that we're actually eating. So that's the main problem with our typical American Western diet, is that it's way too high in carbs, and going one step further, it's too high in the processed carbohydrates too. So keeping that in mind, out of these 4 food groups, your 3 food groups that are going to be very good for your metabolism, meaning they're not going to cause a blood sugar spike or an insulin spike, is protein, non-starchy vegetables, and fats. This is what all of our bodies are burning right now, Probably because you're sitting down and you're watching this right now. Your body is really only burning fat for fuel. And so these are the three things that are gonna fuel your body for more of those sedentary times during the day. Now, eat your carbs definitely around when you're working out, because now your body's absolutely going to be more efficiently burning carbohydrates. So my point to get across is not to cut out on carbs, but just have better timing of carbohydrates perhaps, and a better quality of carbohydrates in your diet. So when we eat food of carbohydrate nature, which I'm going to talk about next, we get a blood sugar spike, and in response to that blood sugar, our body releases insulin. Chronically high levels of insulin do a number of damages on our body systems. It raises inflammation levels, it heats up adipose tissue, and it primes your body to be in fat storage mode. So that's another reason why we don't want to have these excessively high carbohydrate diets, kind of like the American Heart Association and the USDA promote, because they want you to eat whole grains, they want you to eat, low fat, low cholesterol. Well, what is low fat and low cholesterol? Carbs. So again, trust your gut, get back to nature, and do most of your grocery shopping in your produce section and your meat counter, and then just sparingly use those middle aisles of the grocery store. So quick review: protein, vegetables, and fats should be kind of what you think about first. Again, these aren't the only things we're going to eat and nourish our bodies with, but it should be what our focus is on. So if these are the three things that do not raise your blood sugar and insulin levels, these are the three things that have the capability of doing that. So these are the things that we want to eat smarter. Okay, keep in mind, I have fruit up here. I do not discourage any fruits. All fruits should be consumed, for all their benefits, because that's the really cool thing about fruits and vegetables. This is where you're going to heal your soul with, because this is where you're going to get all your vitamins, your minerals, your prebiotics, your fiber, your antioxidants, your phytochemicals. This is what's going to heal everything. So sometimes when people learn that fruit is high in carbohydrates, they get scared and they stop eating it, and they're in a source of nutrients in your diet. So I teach people eat fruit smarter. Give fruit a little love from some protein or some fat. Problem solved. Because basically what happens in metabolism is you eat, we'll say a banana. Your body has this incredible ability to chop up a banana into simple sugar glucose, rushes right into your bloodstream, so there goes the blood sugar, and then here comes that insulin wave. When, say, you put some peanut butter with your banana, what's going to happen is your body's going to have a much slower time digesting and releasing that sugar into your bloodstream. So now you're just going to have small little waves of blood sugar and insulin levels. And you know what this is? Excellent blood sugar and insulin control. So I don't care how much fruit you eat during the day. All I care about is that you pair that fruit with fat or protein. So here are fats here, our protein sources. So this is your meat, beef and pork. I eat it too. Chicken, fish, and eggs should definitely be complementing it and should ideally be the primary source of protein. But it doesn't have to be the only source. We do not have to be perfect. We just have to be consistent in the delivery of nutrients in our diet. This is also going to be where you find cheese, cottage cheese. If you're a yogurt fan, Greek yogurt's going to be the only one that counts as a protein source. For those of us that need a little extra oomph, including myself, somebody who has a very busy schedule, somebody who actively CrossFits during the day, protein bars, protein shakes, and powders are also going to be found in that area too. So this is where you're going to find protein. Now I know you heard me say cheese, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, but Amanda, that's dairy product. I understand that. Yes, they are botanically or, for the food group, a dairy product. But your body recognizes cheese the same way it recognizes eggs, fish, and chicken, meaning it's going to metabolize it the same way. So for my classification system, it's going to go here. Now, if you don't eat dairy, no harm done either. But just for educational purposes, that's where we're going to put it here today. So proteins, veggies, fats, eat your fruit as long as you eat it with fruit and healthy fats, problem solved. So here's our crutch. It's dairy and grains. This, unfortunately, is what you're raised on. This is what you first learned to cook. Think about what was the first thing you were able to make, a bowl of cereal growing up. Then you learned how to make a sandwich. Then you graduated and made your first grilled cheese. I did light I lighted, what was it? It was either a napkin or a paper plate on fire the first time I made grilled cheese. So This is you learn to boil your first pot of pasta and you make macaroni and cheese and spaghetti. So what happens? This becomes your quick go-to food because this is what we draw back onto our previous experiences of growing up. This is quick, this is convenient, this is comfort, and this is what is destroying our lives. Because it causes high blood sugars, it causes high insulin levels, boom, there's the inflammation ripple. And this is where our chemicals come from. Now, I'm not saying everything in this food group is bad for you, but it's just understanding all the food that we eat that belongs in this food group. That's the important message to take away today. So what is? Well, the first thing that you're probably already thinking of is bread. Yep, you betcha, bread goes up there. Doesn't matter if it's whole wheat, white, rye, sourdough, whole grain, 12 grain, oat bran, it's all bread. Doesn't matter what you eat, it's all gonna turn to sugar. Some of it's just gonna turn a little bit slower than others. So my point that I tell patients, it's not about making this healthy bread switch. It's just learning to eat less bread. You know, you don't have to give it up, just eat it less. Don't survive on it like a crutch, like so many people do several times a day. You have a bagel in the morning, sandwich in the afternoon. You know, you have bread in some other way, shape, or form. Because remember, bread has a lot of family members. It has the bagel, the biscuit, the cinnamon roll, the Danish, the donut. A little privy to our gym here. Let's see, what else? Hamburger, hot dog bun, the pizza crust, the taco shell, the tortilla shell, the wrap, the croissant, can go on and on and on. It's all bread. It's all bread. So just remember that. This is your cereal aisle at the grocery store. So this is where you're going to find your cold cereal, your hot cereal, your cream of wheat, your oatmeal, your malto meal. All that is a grain. The other middle aisles at the grocery store is where you're going to find your pasta, your rice, your couscous, your barley, your quinoa, your bulgur. You know, some of you are with more eclectic type of grain preferences. This is where we're also going to find starches. So that's the other thing that I always remind people is this is also grains slash starch. What are starches? It's your potatoes, peas, corn, and beans. So your black beans, your baked beans, your chili beans, your garbanzo beans, not green beans. Green beans are always going to be a non-starchy vegetable. Starches, like the ones that I just mentioned, they're classified up here. Yes, I understand they grow from a garden and botanically they are a vegetable, but your body doesn't see them as that. When you chew and swallow these things, this is what your body is going to recognize as pasta, bread, and cereal. It's going to turn it into sugar. So we need to treat it like that too. I'm not saying give it up. I'm just saying treat it as it's a grain starch, not as a vegetable in your diet. And then unfortunately we have the snack food aisle. Because what did you grow up on when you were eating snacks as kids? Dunkaroos, Gushers, fruit roll-ups. So from a very early age, you learn that snack time equals sweet time, salty time. So your snack food aisle, it's even labeled like that at the grocery store. It's where you'll find your chips, crackers, pretzels, popcorn, granola bars, your Hostess and Little Debbie snacks, and then all those other, you know, sweet treats. Those are all grain starches. Again, based on the principle of how your body treats it. Once you chew and swallow that food, your body will turn it into sugar, just like all those other things that we've talked about already. So once you better understand and grasp that concept, it's much easier to better balance your plate. Now dairy, what do we have left? Well, this is really just cow's milk and maybe regular yogurt pudding, arguably, which regular yogurt and pudding are kind of the same thing. They both have a crazy high amount of sugar in them, very low protein content. Both of them have calcium. Shoot, if you're eating yogurt for calcium, might as well just eat pudding. It's probably a little bit more fun. But what the principle is, your body sees these two things as the same thing because they're both going to drive up blood sugars when you eat them because they're both carbohydrate-rich food items. So what I actually do is lump those two together versus you're going to see them as separate entities with other educational you know, handouts or, you know, websites, resources that you see. Okay, so how do we apply this information that we have now? When you're thinking about what's going to heal my metabolism, it's your protein. Amino acids have an incredible nurturing effect on the body. They're going to re-jumpstart that fire inside you. They're going to help heal your immune system. They're going to help rebuild tissue and damage done within your GI tract. They're going to control blood sugars. They're going to control insulin. They're going to control inflammatory markers and cortisol levels inside your body. So protein is what is going to heal the metabolism. but we don't want to also only eat protein. We want to nurture the body and heal the soul. And that's where those 3 ingredients are so important, your fruits, veggies, and your fats, because again, that's where you're going to get your vitamins and minerals from. So what does that mean? It means when you eat, think protein. Doesn't mean don't only eat protein, but protein should be your first thought. The more consistently you put protein in your diet, meaning you eat it with every meal, you eat it as part of a healthy snack. Think of it as like putting on a little bit of gasoline or lighter fluid on your fire. Squirting it on that fire, it's gonna rev up that metabolism and keep it burning hot until the next time you choose to have a snack or a meal during the day. So we wanna focus on not these huge slabs of meat on our plate, but consistent protein intake throughout the day. So don't worry about how much am I having too much? Just worry about, do I have a protein presence when I'm having my meal, when I'm having my snack? Vegetables should be your next thought, because again, this is where you're going to increase a ton of nutrients without a high sugar consequence, basically. And the sugars that are in vegetables, they really don't matter. There's so much water and fiber in them, they kind of counteract the natural sugars that are in there. So some of you may be thinking, but Amanda, I don't like vegetables. Tough poop, eat them. I'm kidding. Okay, learn to like them. Here's the thing, I was butchered with vegetables when I grew up. The only vegetables that I ate was something from a bird's eye frozen bag, or maybe a can of green beans or a canned corn. So I had to teach myself how to like vegetables, and you know how you do that? You buy them fresh and you learn to cook them and season them, because all your different cooking techniques is going to create a different texture in your mouth. So some of us, we like softer foods, other of us, the more crisp, the better, you know, the better experience of eating the vegetables. Experiment with different oils that you marinate with, vinegars that you might put on there, and seasoning profiles. Because I bet you, I can get you to eat the same vegetable in like 5 different ways, and it's gonna taste completely different. But you gotta be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You gotta buy something new, and you gotta be comfortable with a new cooking technique that maybe you weren't previously used to. So you can eat them raw on a salad. That's the best way to start off. Don't make no boring salad. You know, copy what you get at Panera. Copy what you've gotten at your favorite restaurant, because a garden salad is just not gonna cut it for me. Then maybe start experimenting with sauteing vegetables. You can literally saute anything. And then maybe go into grilling vegetables. Roasting vegetables is our household's favorite way to eat vegetables, because there's a cool thing about roasting. It's gonna take that teeny amount of natural sugar in vegetables and it's gonna bring it out. So it's actually gonna change the flavor profile of your vegetables. It's gonna make it a little bit sweeter, and it's gonna make it a lot more fun to eat. So really, and you know, if you have more questions, absolutely you can ask me about, you know, cooking techniques. By all means, I'm not a chef, but I have learned to be more adventurous in the kitchen, because that's what's made our family so much healthier, is having that adventuresome attitude. So proteins, veggies with your meals. Don't leave this out. It's very important. But learn what works well with your family. So with us, we stay natural. You know, members of our household, we don't tolerate gluten very well. So most of the grains that I cook are gonna be gluten-free. So we do rice, we do sweet potatoes, we do regular potatoes. Don't be afraid of that regular potato. Just make sure that you balance it out with a ton of veggies and protein to make sure that the glycemic load of that meal is nice and down and low, so you don't have a crazy high blood sugar spike like people get when they eat just a big pile of fries, basically. We eat a lot of squash. And then you do get some carbohydrates from here too. So, you know, it's all about balance and what works best with your household. That's just my household, and we're a little bit more extreme than other households. I don't impose my own eating habits on others. I just use myself as an example of how much we've changed and how much better feeling and healthier we've gotten because of that change, because of stepping into the world of the unknown. So if you're a household that loves your pasta, cool, keep your pasta in there. Just learn that pasta probably shouldn't be eaten every week. You know, make it more of a specialty item and really enjoy it and savor that flavor. If you're a bread person, okay, but again, learn to maybe have a couple days where you don't have bread, so you're not as overly dependent on it. So that's the challenge, is maybe not cutting something out, but just learn that what else you're missing out on because you're so dependent on some of these classic convenient starches. Again, you know, kind of thinking chemical based, you know. Yeah, when you get into a lot of those middle aisles of the grocery store, that's where you're going to get more of your factory food. So more contamination of, you know, those preservatives, food dyes, and a whole host of other manipulations that happens to those grains when you consume them. I threw out there we're a gluten-free household. I actually don't encourage going the gluten-free grain route though. So please don't necessarily take this and run off and get gluten-free bread, gluten-free pasta, gluten-free, you know, pizza crust. Unfortunately, that's not going to make you any healthier because those are still starches and they're still chemically altered. They're just safe for people with celiac disease or gluten intolerance to consume because the thought is that it's not going to create that inflammatory response. They're still crap food. They just have a gluten-free label on them. So please remember that too. So basically we want to be a lot more adventurous with our eating habits and create balance. So I don't care how much of this you eat. I just care how much of this you eat. So I tell patients, you know what, try to make your vegetables as equal portion sizes of your starch. Or go the extra mile and make them a little bit bigger. When you do that and you've got a good meat source there, we do not have to worry about the glycemic load of that meal because everything is going to be very, very, very well balanced when you do that. Can you include fruit with your meal? Absolutely. Not me. I like to have fruit as my snack. So fruit doesn't necessarily have to be with your meal. You can fit in fruit at whatever point during the day that you'd like to. Touching back on the whole supplement thing, you know, protein bars, shakes, and powders. Is it necessary? Not really. But you can have a lot of fun with that too. So every now and then I get a hankering for oatmeal for breakfast. Normally I'm an eggs girl. But when I do get that craving, yes, I know oats don't really have a strong protein profile to them. But you know what I do? Put my protein powder in their oatmeal and voila. I now have the equivalence of 3 eggs in my oatmeal. But again, I got something, you know, different for texture. I got a different, you know, ingredient to start off my day with. So that's where we want to kind of take and transcend with some of these thoughts, is thinking outside the box. You know, you can create higher protein snacks and higher protein meals and make food that originally doesn't have a lot of protein in it by supplementing it with those powders or adding on protein on the side. Obviously, you don't have to put, you know, the protein in the oatmeal or in the grain item that you're consuming. It can be served on the side. But it all goes back to having balance. So, milk. Yes, they say that you should have 3 servings of dairy a day, but what the underlying recommendation is you need calcium. And it's arguable, do you have to get your calcium from cow's milk? And the answer is no. You can get it from your milk alternatives. So we do almond milk in our household as an example. There's a lot others out there, coconut milk, cashew milk. I'm not keen on recommending soy. It's just one of those foods that is very chemically altered, and we're just not quite sure how it affects everybody, because when soy breaks down in the body, it mimics some of your sex hormones, and sometimes high amounts of that can cause your body to produce or underproduce certain sex hormones, which can cause a whole host of other problems. So that's what my stance on soy. So I don't really overly promote it. You can get calcium from almonds, have a small calcium benefit to it. You can get it from your dark leafy greens, broccoli, spinach, kale. Again, going back and getting those Mother Nature natural ingredients. But ideally, you want to be having a wide variety of that consumed throughout the day. So that's kind of where I stand with the whole dairy thing, because I know that's something that you're always taught that you need to eat, you know, yogurt, a couple glasses of milk a day, and I'm saying you don't, but you need to find your calcium source somewhere throughout the day too from other things if you choose not to do cow's milk. So that's healthy eating for a good metabolism. Eat frequently, don't skip meals, and again, eating frequently is basically don't allow yourself more than 4 hours without nourishing. Because 4 hours is sometimes all we got before that fire burns out. And when it burns out for the day, it ain't lighting back up. So this is what's so depressing to hear, is that you could go home and eat a super healthy meal and your body's just gonna store every single bite of it because there's nothing to burn it up. So eat frequently, cook at home, enjoy the fruits of our region, you know, which is, you know, our fresh produce, you know, is now in season. Eat more fruit than you normally do if you'd like to. It tastes good, especially this time of year. Don't forget your proteins. Have fun too. Do I expect perfection? Never. But if you really want to achieve really good results, a healthier metabolism, you know, get rid of bloating and get rid of some of your digestive issues, you've got to be consistent with your healthy eating habits. Consistency is defined a little bit differently. Could be 80% of the time for some of us, 90% of the time. But when you're consistent and your fire's consistently glowing, here's the cool thing. You can go and have a Labor Day, you know, barbecue and eat whatever the heck you want. And because your fire is glowing so brightly, your body's going to burn it all. You don't have to worry about weighing 5 pounds more on the scale the next day. So that's the goal, is to eat consistently that often enough to where when you do have fun on vacation, on holidays, on special celebrations, heck, or just you just haven't done it in a really long while, ideally the goal is that your body will take care of you, your metabolism will take care of you, and it will still burn that food even if it isn't from the healthiest source. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. That was wonderful. We've got some people watching who I think are enjoying this too. So I hope you guys learned a lot. She kept it very simple and easy to understand, and even kind of gave some good ideas for meals along the way, just describing what food fits into what category. So hopefully you guys can help keep your metabolism burning and learn how to burn fat without even having to really work for it. This does apply to people who exercise regularly, even athletes and CrossFitters, and even sedentary people who maybe you haven't gotten into a workout program and you sit a lot for work. This is probably the most important for you because you're not exercising regularly right now. So you can take control of your nutrition, just like she said. It can be fun, it can taste great, and just experiment with things. Don't be afraid to try new things out. She has, I know, a lot of great videos out there that I found on the internet. She does some cooking videos on the news. When is that? So we can tune in.
Oh, I don't have a next one coming up. Okay. No, but I'll let you guys know.
If you even just search for her name on YouTube, there's some really good videos that she has on there. And please share this with other people. This is worth a lot of money, really. Here, this is a book and a whole session with a dietitian all in one. So share this with people. You guys can subscribe. I believe you can hit follow or subscribe on the video. There should be a button somewhere around here that you can click on, and just let us know if you guys have questions, and hopefully that was a good help to you. And thanks, Amanda. That was wonderful. So thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, song and dance now.